All right, so today we're doing a deep dive on Melania Trump.
Okay.
We all know her as like, the former first lady, fashion icon kind of thing.
Right, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely public persona, very strong.
Exactly. And you see all these different things in the media about her. But have you heard the story about how when she first met Donald Trump, she actually like refused to give him her number?
Oh, really?
Yeah, she asked for his number.
Wow, that's
That's not the Melania I feel like we usually see, right?
no, not really. That's pretty assertive.
It is, yeah. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to look into her book.
Her book.
Yeah, it's called Melania.
Okay.
It came out a while ago, but I feel like there's a lot to unpack in there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's going to be pretty interesting to see her side of the story.
Exactly, and especially like, her whole journey, how she became First Lady, her experience in the White House, and also how she kind of deals with all the controversies surrounding them.
Right, right, because there's no shortage of that.
No, not at all.
It's really interesting though that she like took control right from the start. I mean, asking for his number.
Yeah,
Like right off the bat, it just kind of flips the script on what you might expect.
it does. It's not this, damsel in distress kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes you think about how that assertiveness like played out over the years, especially with them being in politics.
Oh, totally, because that's a whole other level of intensity.
No, for sure, high stakes.
But one thing I found kind of surprising when I was reading the book was how she described their early relationship, like their romance.
Yeah. How was
Like
like
really normal.
normal?
Yeah, like private dates, long conversations. They were dancing to like Elton John and Elvis in their living room.
Wow, that's so like down to earth.
I know, right? It's like
Yeah.
a totally different side to them that you just never really see.
It's true. You just imagine them being, surrounded by like a million people constantly.
Right, exactly. So this was like a peek behind the curtain.
Definitely.
And they're just two people falling in love.
Yeah. That's sweet.
It is. It makes you wonder, though, like, was she trying to do that on purpose? Present this different image?
It's possible, hard to say for sure.
Or is this just genuinely who they are when they're not in the public eye?
I think it could be a little of both,
Yeah.
Like she definitely wants to control how she's perceived. I mean, that's clear throughout the whole book.
Totally.
It's like she's very deliberate about how she portrays herself and her relationship with Donald Trump.
Yeah, and that need for, like, control and normalcy that seems to really come through when she talks about Barron and their time in the White House.
Right, because he was the first boy to live there since JFK Jr.
Which is crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, historically speaking, that's like a huge deal.
It is. And I wonder what that does to a kid, growing up in that environment.
Oh, absolutely. There's got to be so much pressure.
Yeah, like just to be a normal kid.
Yeah. There's a lot of research on children who grow up in these like high pressure public facing families. Yeah. And like a lot of it focuses on how hard it is for them to like develop a sense of self outside of, the constant attention and scrutiny and all these expectations.
Oh, I bet. It's tough.
And that makes what Melania did even more interesting to me because she like really wanted to make the White House a home for Barron.
Yeah, I read that too.
Like she talks about, redecorating and making sure that he had space for his hobbies.
It just shows that even in those crazy circumstances, like being in the White House, parents still just want the same things for their kids.
They do.
They want to protect them and give them a sense of normalcy and stability.
Exactly. And for Melania, that meant making the White House, which is like this grand, public building
Right.
into a space where they could actually feel like a family.
Yeah, I can see that.
But of course, we can't talk about Melania without talking about the controversy.
Oh, yeah.
Like that whole thing with her speech at the RNC in 2016.
Oh, yeah, the plagiarism accusation.
Huge media firestorm. It was, and, up until then, she had been pretty private.
She was kind of in the background.
And then suddenly, bam, she's in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a turning point in the whole campaign.
It was, and it really shaped how people saw her.
Yeah, whether it was fair or not.
Exactly.
That image kind of stuck.
It did. But in the book, she doesn't shy away from it at all.
She addresses it.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like, she puts the blame squarely on her campaign staff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she says they basically failed her, that the speech she ended up giving wasn't what she had approved.
That's a bold statement.
It is, and it's like classic Melania.
In what way?
Like, she's taking control of the narrative.
Right.
She's not going to take responsibility for something she sees as someone else's mistake.
Right.
And it's interesting, regardless of whether you believe her or not,
Yeah.
it gives you this like behind the scenes look at what goes on in a presidential campaign.
Right.
And how easily things can go wrong.
Totally. So much pressure.
So much pressure and so much at stake.
Yeah. So where does all this leave us with Melania.
Well, I think we see that she's very assertive.
Yeah, right from the beginning.
Like right when they met, she asked for his number, and it's been like that ever since.
Totally, and she's fiercely protective of her family,
Yeah, she wants to control how she's seen.
even when there's controversy.
Exactly. It's a much more complex picture than we usually get from the media.
I think so, too.
It really makes you wonder, like, does reading her book change your perception of her?
Yeah, does it make her seem more human?
Or does it just kind of reinforce what you already thought?
That's a really good question.
It's something to think about.
It is. There's a lot more to her than meets the eye.
Definitely a lot of layers there.
All right, well, that's our deep dive on Melania Trump.
Very interesting.
Yeah, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
And to everyone listening, let us know what you think. Does Melania's book change your perception of her?
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
All right, until next time.
See ya.